All right, so we are recording for those of you that can't make it and you're watching this later on. I don't think that Dan sent out a email reminder, so the attendance is a little lower this week, but that's okay. That's why we record these, so you guys can still get the information. And I hope everyone's having a good third week of the challenge. I hope that some of you were at the beach workout yesterday. It was super fun getting in the water, just doing something new and challenging and different. It's always fun to just be outside, get a little bit of vitamin D, a little bit of vitamin C from the ocean, SEA. That's my nerdy dietitian joke for the evening. Okay, so as always, you guys can either just interrupt me and ask me a question. Since it's a smaller group on today's call, you can just kind of jump in at any time, or if you want to ask any questions in the chat box, we'll be monitoring that to make sure that I get your questions on there. So tonight I thought I would just kind of talk a little bit about like meal composition, like what your plate or what your meals, what your snacks should look like. And then nutrition kind of before, during, and after your workouts. Everybody always asks a lot of questions about that. And then if anything else comes up, we can chat about that as well. So for the composition of your meals, I think I've said this in the past or previously, but I like to describe what's called the performance plate. And so if you picture an imaginary plate that's a circle, and you draw an imaginary line down the center of your plate, half of your plate should be colorful fruits or non-starchy vegetables. So that can be anything, absolutely any vegetable, fruit that you like, just some color on your plate, which is, so imaginary line, and then half is color. And then on the other half, divide that in half again. So then you have a quarter being your carbohydrate rich foods. So that could be anything from a starchy vegetable like beans or potatoes, or grains like rice, pasta, anything like that. And then the remaining quarter of your plate should be your protein food. So protein is anything like fish, poultry, beef, eggs, things like that. So that's kind of like just the quick and dirty like basics of like the composition of your meals. So you want to have color, you want to have carbohydrate, and you want to have protein. The carbohydrate portion of the plate is super important because carbohydrates is where our body gets energy. Our body is kind of like a car, in that a car runs on gasoline. Our body, what the fuel of our body is actually carbohydrates. So fruits, whole fruits, starchy vegetables like potatoes, peas, corn, beans, grains, whole grains, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread. All of those carbohydrates actually provide our body with energy. I know they kind of get a bad rap, but the carbohydrates that you want to eat less of are what we call refined carbohydrates. So that's things with simple or added sugar like soda, a lot of baked goods, things that are sweetened with sugar, packaged foods, and keep eating more of the whole foods like the starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, and beans are really good and a good source of carbohydrate, and stick to those whole food, less processed, healthy carbs. The protein portion on your plate should be what we call lean protein. So protein is in a lot of animal products. However, it also, if you're not careful with your selections, protein can come with a lot of fat. And the fat that's in animal products and usually protein foods is saturated fat, which is not so good for our heart. And so by selecting lean sources of protein, things like chicken breast, turkey breast, if you get either ground beef or ground turkey, you want to get lean or extra lean, like at least 90% lean. And fish is a really good source of protein, and fish does have fat in it, but it's not the saturated fat. It is the unsaturated fat, which is actually good for our hearts. Eggs are a really good source of protein as well. There is fat in the egg yolk. However, their eggs are so nutritious that whole eggs are fine to eat. You can also, we've talked about this on previous calls, you can also increase the protein by combining whole eggs and also egg whites. There's those like liquid cartons of just egg whites, or you can, you know, crack them, but whole eggs are fine. And then in terms of like fruits and vegetables, what I like to tell people is just the greater variety of color, the better. The pigments that give fruits and vegetables colors, those are actually antioxidant, anti-inflammatory compounds. And so the greater variety of color that you can have in your diet, the greater variety of nutrients that you're getting. And what I like to do is I like to kind of have a shelf of little like additive, like high nutrient, like nutrient dense things to like add into different meals that I'm eating. So for example, I like to make smoothies where I'll have whey protein powder and frozen fruit, and then some liquid. And then I like to like add in little nutrient boosters. So I'll either add in the like flax seeds or hemp hearts or wheat germ or a little bit of tart cherry juice, or any of these like little nutrient boosters where it's just adding a lot, or like adding spinach or any greens, where you're just like what nutrients can you add to whatever you're eating. So with smoothies, it's really easy because you just throw them in the blender, but with your other like meals and things you're eating as well, like what can you top your oatmeal with? What can you throw on top of your yogurt? What can you add to your salad? Like what are all these little nutrient boosters where you can just get more variety into your diet? Most of us eat the same 15 to 20 foods every single week. You know, you go to the grocery store and you go down the aisles and you're just grabbing the same stuff week after week. So it's just good to try to get variety and just add like different things. You know, what I do is I'll get like a bag of like the flaxseed, and once that's out, the next time I go to the store, I'll buy something different. I'll buy wheat germ, and then I'll use that up, and then I'll buy something different. So I'm trying to rotate kind of what I buy. Same thing with your fruits and vegetables. And a really easy way to do this, which is also cheaper, is to buy things that are in season. So, I mean, we're lucky to live here in California where pretty much we can get any produce year round, but there still are seasonal things. So, you know, in the winter time, like root vegetables and apples and pomegranates are in season. And then now in the summertime or spring, there's like cherries. In the summer, we have like nectarines, and there's just, you know, all these different fruits and vegetables that you can get. And just kind of a good way to naturally get a variety in your diet is just kind of get whatever is in season. Let's see, there's a question. Okay, sweet potatoes. Yeah, sweet potatoes are super good, delicious. People that put, this is just a personal opinion of mine, but people that like sweeten their sweet potatoes, like I don't understand that. I think sweet potatoes are so delicious and sweet enough already. Okay, so that's kind of the basic composition of what your meal should be. So like breakfast, lunch, dinner should be some sort of carbohydrate, protein, and then color. Healthy fats should be an accompaniment to your meal. Fat adds flavor. It shouldn't be the main course. So adding fat by adding like seeds onto something, so like sunflower seeds or pepitas, or any type of nuts, like walnuts are really good, almonds. Another thing with nuts, people always ask me, they're like, Andrea, what's the best nut? And there's not a best nut in terms of nutrition because they all offer something slightly different. Walnuts have omega-3s, so they're the superstar in their own right. Almonds are really high in protein and fiber, so they're the superstar when it comes to that. So every single nut has a slightly different nutrition profile. So the same thing with the nuts is like I was talking about earlier with kind of rotating through to get a variety in your diet, is like one time buy, you know, almonds, the next time buy walnuts, the next time buy a mixture. Pistachios are really good, and you want to get the pistachios that are still in the shell because they have a higher antioxidant content when they still have their protective shell on them. And it's like portion control because you have to crack them open to eat them. So nuts are really good. The serving size of nuts, however, is 1/4 of a cup, which is about the size of a golf ball, if you can picture that. Or if you are familiar with the measuring cups in your kitchen, 1/4 of a cup, or 1 ounce is like the size of a shot glass. So that's the serving size for nuts. You can't eat more or less than that. It's perfectly fine, but 1 ounce or 1/4 of a cup of nuts is about 200 calories. So even though there's a lot of calories in nuts compared to other foods, they are really healthy. There's a lot of nutrition in them, so definitely should be part of your diet. Other ways that you can flavor your food with fat are things like avocado, and then cooking with like olive oil, and these different ways that you're adding these fats into your diet, but they're unsaturated. And they are just kind of in addition to your food that kind of helps to flavor your food. And it's not like the main thing, like you're eating some big, super cheesy thing, like even cheese, you don't need a lot of cheese because it's salty and it flavors your food by just having a little bit. So we got another question. Bake them in the oven. Yeah, exactly. Sweet potatoes, you can put them in the oven just as is. You can wrap them in foil and bake them in the oven. Super good. Love that. Oh yeah, pumpkin spice is a good thing. Seasonings are a good way to flavor your food as well without adding like a ton of calories. I love that. Absolutely. Okay, so that's kind of the composition for your meals. And then your snacks, what I recommend is try to have at least 2 of those components that I listed for the main meal. So if you're just having a snack, you can have maybe just protein and color, so just protein and a fruit or vegetable, or you can have protein and carbs. So kind of whatever things that you like to have. I recommend eating whole food over packaged foods. I try to really limit the amount of packaged foods that I eat and only save bars and boxed goods and all those like pre-packaged items. Save those for like emergencies. Those do come in handy if you're traveling, or you can have them in your car or your purse. But if at all possible, it only takes a few seconds longer to grab some hard-boiled eggs, grab some veggies, some those mini bell peppers, and like dip them in hummus, or having like turkey roll-ups, or the individual pieces of cheese, or just fruits and a handful of nuts or something like that. So for your snacks, try to have whole foods instead of having the like protein bars and all the packaged foods. Like all of that there's so many ingredients in there, not to mention that's super expensive, and you will do better with your health and with your wallet if you are just eating whole food. So snacking, whole food, try to have protein, and then try to have either color or carbohydrate paired with that. And most active people are hungry like every 4 to 6 hours. And so look at your day and look at, when does your day start? When are you working out during the day? When are your work breaks? When does your family want to eat? And you kind of have to like mend this schedule together that kind of works with all those things. I know it's difficult, but try to kind of like lay out and see like what is happening in your day, and like when is the ideal time for you to be eating, and like when do you feel hungry? Some people don't feel hungry right in the morning, and that's okay. Just make sure that you are eating something earlier in the day, because we know that if you wait too long to eat, then you are going to get hangry, and you're more likely to overeat and like not care at all what you're eating. Just you want food in your mouth because you're so starving. And so to make sure that doesn't happen, it's important to eat sometime earlier in the day. Exactly when is going to depend again on your schedule, your preferences, your family, your work, all of that. And it's important that you're eating food. So it's really common in our culture to just drink coffee in the morning. I love coffee. I'm a huge advocate of caffeine. However, caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant, and it makes you feel awake and alert, but it doesn't actually provide your body with any energy like food does, like those carbohydrates do. So it's important that you're eating food along with your coffee. I know a lot of people will just like drink coffee and they'll like feel awake and alert, and then all of a sudden they'll be working, and then they are eating, like just grabbing like a few things maybe around their desk or around their workplace, just kind of like snacking on things. And then all of a sudden in the evening, you get home and you finally like let yourself just like, relax, and then you're starving because you haven't eaten breakfast, you've barely grazed through lunch, or you didn't eat like substantial lunch with enough protein, which is really filling and satisfying. And then all of a sudden you're so hungry for dinner, and then you just eat everything in sight. And then you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry because you just ate a huge dinner, a huge meal, and then went to sleep. So it's just a matter of like looking at your day and trying to fit in your meals when works for your schedule, when works also for your activity level. I always say that you want to kind of sandwich your most active part of the day, whether that's the gym, working out, or maybe you have a really physically active job. So whenever your body is doing the most physical work, that's when you want the most nutrition. So those meals surrounding those times should be a little bit bigger, and then you can eat less food further out from that most active time of your day. So you kind of want to periodize your nutrition and periodize your meals and your snacks to like when you're most active, that's when you want to fuel up and refuel. And then further out from that, you want to have smaller meals. Now, I understand that that doesn't always match up with like social situations. For example, like myself, I'm a morning exerciser, so I work out in the morning. And so that's when like I have a really big breakfast. And then for lunch, I'm usually pretty hungry again. And then for dinner, dinner tends for me to be smaller, but if I'm in like a social situation, like most people get together and they have like the biggest dinners. So just kind of like think of when are you most active during the day? What are your meals like now? And if any of those if you need to kind of adjust either the portion size or maybe the timing of your meal. If you have more than 6 hours between any of your meals, that's a good time for a snack. So plug a snack into the middle of that with some protein and either color or carbohydrate, so that that kind of like bridges you until your next meal. So to keep you at your next meal from like overeating and just eating whatever is there. So that's a little bit about like meal composition and then kind of like timing of your meals throughout the day. And then surrounding your workout, it's going to vary by individual depending on what time of day you work out. And again, like what your preference is. So for those of us that work out really early in the morning, sometimes you don't want to wake up any earlier to eat before that, which is perfectly fine. Our workouts are generally less than an hour. And so you can usually get through it without eating first if it's first thing in the morning. What I would recommend is kind of looking at what's the last thing you're eating before you're going to bed, because that's kind of topping off your gas tank, your fuel tank, your energy tank for the workout in the morning. So you want to make sure that the meal that you have, the last meal of the day, is good quality, because that's kind of topping off your energy stores for in the morning. If you do have a little bit of time, I would say like usually around an hour is enough time to have a little something. The closer you are to exercise, the more quickly digesting, quickly absorbing, leaving your stomach kind of foods you want to have. So if you only have like an hour or less, I would stick to things that are mostly liquid, because liquid empties from your stomach really quickly. Things like applesauce, a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of a smoothie, something that's small and liquid, is good if you don't have a lot of time. If you have more time, you have more time to digest, so you can eat more solid food. What is going to fuel your workout is going to be mostly carbohydrates. So having things like a banana or a couple rice cakes or fig Newtons or anything with like granola or oats or toast or fruit, any of those like carbohydrate foods are going to kind of fuel your workout. And again, if you have 1 hour or less, you want something very small, probably more on the liquid side. If you have more time, you can have more of a substantial meal, like the oatmeal or whatnot. And if you have something that works for you that you love to eat before your workouts, then keep doing that. If you are, used to it, and you can train your stomach pretty much just like you can train your muscles. And so some people eat things outside of what I'm recommending, and it totally works for them. Things that you want to probably, in most cases, avoid before exercising is anything that's really high in fat, because fat takes a long time to digest. And so it's going to feel, if you eat like a fatty meal or something that has a lot of fat in it, like a milkshake, it's going to feel like it's sitting in your stomach. So think about like if you've had a really, enjoyed like a comfort food meal or something like that, something that's like really heavy, it's going to sit in your stomach and it's not going to feel good when you're trying to jump and jostle around. So you want to try to avoid things that are really high in fat. You also want to avoid things that are very high in fiber. So fiber is the indigestible part of plants. So fruits and vegetables and whole grains all have fiber. All of that is super healthy for us. Fiber kind of acts like a chimney sweep. It helps to keep our GI tract regular and keep our gut healthy. And we're only as healthy as our gut. That's our biggest immune defense. However, you don't want to have that right before you're working out, because that could cause some GI distress. You might feel like bloated or have gas or feel like you have to go to the bathroom, which are normal side effects from eating fibrous foods, but you don't want that when you're working out. So having high fiber foods after your workout, perfectly fine throughout the day, just not directly before, just to avoid those uncomfortable GI effects. So during your workout, if your workout is 1 hour or less, you really don't need to consume anything, because whatever you've had before that is going to fuel you through the workout. So just drinking water throughout a 1 hour workout is going to be perfectly sufficient. And then after your workout, ideally, like within the first hour, you want to try to have either a snack or a meal. If you are on the go, you want to bring something with you. Make a smoothie ahead of time, or bring, anything that you've prepped ahead of time, depending on what time of day, if that's going to be more of like a breakfast item or snack or maybe dinner. You can also, if your workout just like back ends up to a meal, then that works too, as long as your meal is like within an hour. If you go over an hour and you haven't eaten yet, like nothing's going to happen to you. You won't just like crumble and your workout won't be useless. But that first hour after working out, your body is most receptive to nutrition intervention. And if you aren't doing it yet, I encourage you to try making sure that you're eating within an hour after your workout, and making sure that you're getting protein, a little bit of carbohydrate, and certainly fluid. And you might notice that you're less sore after your workouts and in subsequent days, because you're getting that nutrition in right away. So that's one of the benefits. And we can talk all day about like what's happening on the cellular level and metabolism and this and that, but like what people care about is like, I want to be less sore, right? And so if that is one of the things that will kind of entice you to try to get in your recovery nutrition right after your workout, then go for it. So if you guys have any other questions, type them in the chat box. I think I answered the ones we got so far.
Yes,
so those are kind of the things that I wanted to go over. And I know last week the Zoom cut us off. We still have a few more minutes. So yeah, Ben, were you going to say something?
Oh, yes. Is it necessary to take multivitamins?
That's a good question. So in general, we should be able to get all of the nutrition that we need from a good balanced diet. So getting vitamins and minerals from our fruits and vegetables and our whole grains. If you feel like you don't eat a certain food, like if you cut out an entire food group, or if you have food allergies or a special diet that you have to follow and you're not able to eat like a balanced diet, you can always take a multivitamin just as like a little bit of insurance. It might like bridge some of the gaps that you could be missing. But in general, like most people can get all like the nutrients they need just from eating like a varied diet.
I see. And what are you describing? Like half your plate should be vegetables and colorful stuff. That's not me right now.
No?
And I used to take cytho greens from the from the vitamin shop.
Oh, yeah.
No, I had this whole chemistry set full of, protein shakes, cyto greens and BCAAs, and I just want it, I know I'm not eating enough vegetables.
Yeah.
Is that a good idea to have that supplement to cover the gaps like you're talking about?
So the words that just came out of your mouth. So those things are a supplement. So dietary supplements supplement our diet. So first and foremost, you should be eating whole food and getting a variety of nutrients that way. We know a lot about nutrition, but there's a lot that we don't know. And there's a lot that happens like synergistically when you are eating whole foods that will never come from an isolated supplement. So that just has, vitamin C or just has branched chain amino acids. Branched chain amino acids are actually found in animal products. So in your eggs, in your whey, so any dairy, any yogurt, any milk, chicken, beef, fish, poultry, there's branched chain amino acids in amino acids are just the building blocks of protein in foods. And so all of the whole foods that you're eating have those branched chain amino acids in them. The nutrition store just likes to bottle them up and put a cool label on it and sell it to you. But you're actually getting those things from your food. And then in terms of the greens, like supplement, like you should, try to incorporate more food sources, vegetables into your diet and just see what it does for you. I guarantee that you'll have, improvements in your health and how you're feeling from the food versus, and those supplements are so expensive. And there's so much more you can get from food. With the vegetables, like if you're not a big vegetable eater, like think about like how do you like to eat your vegetables? Do you like to eat them raw in a salad? Some people hate salads, then don't eat salads. If you would rather have your vegetables like grilled or cooked, like if you want, hot or cooked vegetables, then eat them that way. Try to add them to things that you're already eating, like mix them in with beans or rice or pasta, add spinach into, pasta sauce or into your eggs with like bell peppers. You probably won't even notice, and just kind of start adding into your meals vegetables. You could also, if you don't eat vegetables often, you could just eat a larger portion when you do, or you can try to incorporate like a little bit into different meals and snacks that you're eating. Just think about like, what do you like? Do you want them raw or cold? Would you rather have them hot or cooked? And then, what can you add to them to make them taste better? Like, do you want to sprinkle cheese or melt cheese on them? Do you want to have them with ranch dressing? Do you want to have them with, if you have to put cheese or ranch dressing on your vegetables so that you will eat them, like that sounds good to me, because at least you're eating the vegetables, right? to make them taste good. Yeah.
Yes. And also I work out in the morning at 4:30.
Yeah.
And I take my protein shake right after I work out, but
Perfect.
after you hear your conversation, I ate dinner the night before, so I still have some fuel in my stomach to fuel me through the workout.
Yeah, you're doing it right. So you have like your dinner, at night, and then the morning you work out and your protein is right after. Yeah, that's perfect.
And then also after I drink my protein shake, I come home and I eat my oatmeal and my
that's a perfect timeline.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, to have the protein shake like immediately following, and then once you get home to have your normal breakfast. Yeah, that's a perfect timeline.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank
Any
you,
other questions or comments from anybody? No? All right, we'll make sure that you share this video once Dan publishes it, and then we'll make sure that Dan sends out the email reminder next week so that we have good attendance again. But thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you heard something that was useful, and keep at it at the challenge. Hopefully I'll see some of you either in the gym or at the beach workout next weekend. And that's it for tonight. So thank you all for coming, and I'll see you next Sunday night.
Andrea,
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're gonna have a wealth call on Monday night, and the topic tomorrow is proper protection. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
So,
Is
yeah,
that, what time is it at?
at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. See
See
ya.
ya.
Thank you.
Bye.